How you guys doing? Super lit. It's Tyler Sabino. This is a Triller Spotlight. Thank you for having me. I'm originally from the East Coast, New York. Kind of use basketball as a tool to get around. I went to high school in Jersey, then high school in Rhode Island, and then played my college ball in San Francisco. It was then when I realized I was not going to the league, I was not going to the NBA, and I needed a degree that actually meant something. Went to the only art school in the NCAA called Academy of the Art University, majored in digital and media technologies. And that's really when my love for storytelling, tech, all of that kind of came into fruition. I started realizing all the dope companies that were emerging at the time in San Francisco, from Uber, Lyft, Postmates. I remember the first time even hearing about Uber, I'm like, I'm not, gonna get in a car with a random person. But it was all of this that really ignited my love for tech, which ultimately ended up having me started an agency at APA Talent Agency. Worked my way up there, and then ended up at Triller. Started at Triller as a producer on the events team, primarily focusing on all Versus events. That was the real focus. Like, I'm not gonna front. Like, when I first saw Versus during the pandemic, I was like mind blown. I'm like, yo, this is like I was watching 2-hour concerts from my phone. So I was like, one day I see myself working for a company like Triller, like Versus, and I spoke it into existence. So did that accomplishment I'm really proud of on the Versus was like being a lead producer on the first Latin Versus that we did. Really bringing the Latin community into it, me being half Dominican, that was super important for me. And since then, I basically took this initiative of understanding where technology was going, where the digital landscape was going. And thanks to the Triller executives, thanks to all the family I have at Triller, they kind of let me run with it. And I've been a part of an amazing team, basically spearheading the Web3 Metaverse initiative here at Triller, and getting into that space. It's a funny question when anybody's like, what is Web3, right? I think people don't really understand it, and they think NFTs, they think VR goggles, they think the whole nine. How I break it down is this: Web 1 was the .com era, right? That's when the internet first started getting introduced to us. That's the Googles, the Amazons, all those early websites that started. And that was a time for us to learn, right? In terms of, it was a lot of reading going on, right? Web 2, in my opinion, is very much, this is where we're able to express ourselves, right? This is like social media is being introduced. This is expression. This is everything from podcasts, blogging, right? And Web 3 is now for the first time where the end user actually gets to have full control of their digital property, of their intellectual property, and I think that's huge. I think it's merging the two things. The misconception is that you need to have crypto to be in Web 3 and things of that nature. You have the option, you don't need VR goggles. So I would say Web 1 is read, Web 2 is write and expression, and Web 3 is more going back to the end user. I always wanted to work in tech. After I realized I wasn't going to the league, I was like, how do I storytell in the best ways possible, right? And I understood that using tech and storytelling, that was kind of my niche. That was something that I loved, right? I always loved downloading new games on the phone, or, using like the case study of my little brother who was always like, oh, I'm on Roblox, I'm on Fortnite. I'm like, why are you paying so much money for these video games? Like, I didn't understand it, but I always wanted to understand it. So I think that getting into the Web3 and the metaverse, it was really a way that I realized that creators were able to maximize their brands, right? Like, physical events are not going anywhere, in my opinion, right? But this is a way for simultaneously for you to have a digital presence, a virtual presence at the same time, right? Being in production, being in the event space, I saw so much value there, right? Not just catering to the people who live in major cities like New York, LA, Miami, but catering to like middle America, right? Maybe they can't go to actual Versus in real life, but let's give them an experience where they can maybe feel like they're front row, right? That was very important. I think sometimes we get blindsided, like, oh, like if they wanted to pull up, they could. Like, it's not that easy. So I really think bridging the gap between the physical and digital landscape is where Web3 and Metaverse makes the most sense, right? You buy a shirt in the digital space and you receive it physically. It's that bridge. So that's what makes me very excited, and ultimately that's why I entered this space. My biggest professional accomplishment at Triller, I always say like I'm just warming up. I always say we're just warming up in terms of the amazing team that I'm on, the amazing people I work with at Triller. The biggest accomplishment I would say was really diving into this whole Web3 Metaverse initiative, before it was even my job title, vetting out different companies. I was on the phone with over 50, 60 Google Meet, Zooms, vetting out the right company for us to partner with to build our digital landscape. Being a part of that, having a huge influence on deciding who we ended up partnering with in Epic. Truthfully, that's my biggest accomplishment so far because I felt heard, I felt seen, and more so, it was able to create a product that wasn't at Triller, and now is a whole department. The culture that makes me most excited about working here. When I first got to Triller, like full transparency, I didn't know exactly what to expect, and just being around so many dope, creative people every single day. Everybody, I got to Triller, I had so many questions. I remember my first day at Triller was a Triller verse, right? Which is where we have a boxing match with the verses. Essentially, it's the busiest day you could possibly have. They flew me to New York. It was KRS-One versus Big Daddy Kane. And I remember just being in the room with the whole versus team, had no idea the rhyme or reason, and everybody was helping. Everybody. I can't even call out the entire team. And that's kind of the culture of Triller. Everybody's always willing to offer that helping hand. People wear so many different hats. People would do so many different things. And being a part of that environment is very inspiring. And I've learned every single day. My best advice for somebody trying to make it in the tech and innovation sector, it would be definitely to start in a startup environment. That's because, like, for me, when you start up in a startup environment, you have to wear many different hats, you have to do many different things. And you might go into it thinking, you want to do something in tech and then leave with something completely different when you really understand what goes into it, right? A lot of things look pretty on the outside and then you get in, you're like, all right, that's not it, and vice versa. So it'd be starting in a startup, like look up local startup companies or even remote ones that actually might have potential because you could get stocks, shares, options, all of that as well, which is an incentive for you to also want to do many different things and grow within the company. So I think there's a lot of beauty in that. I also think if you're a consumer of certain brands, right, or certain technologies, whether it's IG, whether it's Triller, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Be Real, right, look at those companies, look what jobs they're hiring for because you're already a consumer, so you already have a leg up on other people. You understand the product, and I think that's very important. You can't join a company or want to work for a company when you don't understand the product. And lastly, having case studies, understanding that the tech that is being made now is not necessarily for us, right? Not the long-lasting one, it's for the younger generation. My biggest case study is my little brother, right? He's 14, and he tells me, all right, Fortnite, he tells me, Roblox, he tells me Minecraft, he speaks to me about all these games, understanding the tech that these kids are interested in, right? Here, Aiden, come over here. He's the one that really gets me, you know what I'm saying? Say what's up.
What's up?
Say it's a Triller Spotlight.
Triller Spotlight. You got the loser hat?
Yeah.
Loser club?
Yeah, all right, go over there. But really having those case studies of having someone like a little brother, right, understanding what they're into, I think is really important, staying with the times, because if you're not with the times, you'll get washed out. It was a pleasure. I'm Tyler Sabino. Thank you for tuning in to this Triller Spotlight.